Come on.
Well, hello, Vibe, and hello anyone else who happens to stop by this stream. It is me, the Snoomo. I don't have anything special planned for today, but, most of last night, and, part of today when I woke up, I have been fucking around with, yeah, I've been fucking around with, some old recordings and stuff from D&D things, and I found a really old, Medibang file on my old laptop of a character for a big project that, I guess I don't mind talking about, where it's I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before, it's a comic for the first D&D campaign, and that me and my group played, and technically that story is still going. Because there's a lot of fucking bullshit that's connected. And it's got sort of a meta narrative going on. But yeah. So just kinda gonna fuck around.
Talk about us like you want it. Stop talking like, ooh, we ain't lost it. You don't seem to know, ooh, you're on cruise control. Don't wanna think of all the rules that you can pick and choose. I wanna make you feel like you talk about us like you want it. Stop talking like, ooh, we ain't lost it. You don't seem to know, ooh, you're on cruise control.
So I'm gonna start by doodling my character from that campaign. Because she needs a reference sheet. God does she. Because there's no fucking reference picture. It's unreal how actually little I have drawn of this character. Because I do like her. She was my first D&D character. Not my favorite by any means, but I do like her. What is her eye shape? Never thought about that. I believe she's East German.
I was all alone. Then you showed up under my umbrella.
It's very funny that I made her brunette instead of a blonde because she's German, but you know, that is what it is.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
well. Am streaming.
Who was watching?
Ooh. Music is a little loud. Oh shit. How's that? Is that better? Just check myself with the phone. That's good? Oh, okay. I will simply take your word for it. I'm gonna grab a slender. It's starting to get a little cold in the apartment, but I don't want to turn the heater on. Because the power bill has been really high lately. I don't want to keep adding to it. That's stupid. someone's rooming outside. They do be rooming though. I like how I immediately got distracted by answering messages on fucking Discord. Totally not because I'm worried about a certain detail about this character. Eh? Well? Okay. This guy just left for work. I thought he came back in for some reason. But I'm pretty sure that was just him locking the door. I'm just sitting here trying to remember what her fucking stats were. Because I say D&D character, and that's just meant to be sort of a catch-all term for tabletop, is when I say D&D, because most of the time people know what the fuck you're talking about if you just say D&D, but if you were to say, like, a different system that's not as common, like, I'm sure some people would get it if you said Pathfinder, but not everyone has heard of Pathfinder. So when I say she's my first D&D character, she's my first tabletop character, because technically she's from a free-to-use system called Nemesis, which is more of a horror-based system. And because it was my first tabletop system, it has a very soft spot in my heart, although it's not that good unless you know what the fuck you're doing. Which my group definitely didn't, because we were all newbies and we didn't know what the fuck was going on. We were treating it less like a horror campaign and more like sort of an action adventure, because that's what all of us had as the mindset going into it, was action adventure, the D&D tabletop stuff. Definitely still had horror elements though. Like, there's a lot of fucking scary shit. Like, if I saw even a little bit of the shit that happened in this campaign in real life, I would shit my fucking pants. That shit's fucking scary. Yeah, I'm trying to remember her stats, because there's no classes per se or anything in this system. It's just you have, like, if any of you ever heard of, like, Call of Cthulhu, like that system, it's very similar, though it's not quite the same. It's basically you have your stats and your skills, and that's kind of it. God, I don't know if I have a character sheet, like an old Nemesis character sheet fucking floating around in this apartment, but I probably do somewhere. But it's like you have your stats, which, there's 6 of them, I believe. I'm trying to remember all of them. Like, because there's, like, the physical stats and the mental stats. And it's like, it's body, coordination. Fucking, what was the last one? I think it was like agility or some shit. Like, it's like there's 2 quote-unquote dexterity stats, but because like coordination is like fine motor stuff. So if you had a character who had like low coordination, they had like shaky hands, or they weren't like physically super stable. Like, it's your sense of balance, and then agility is your actual like speed and flexibility. And then there was mind, something else, and empathy. I think. I don't remember what this other mind stat was. I'm trying really hard to fucking remember. I'm an idiot. Why don't I just fucking look up a Nemesis character sheet? Nemesis character sheet. Image. Where is it? I don't know. But I'm gonna be right back. I have to go to the bathroom.
lost at sea, ain't no hope of rescue. Floating out here, set adrift on the big wide blue. I don't need no key if I'm right here with you. Now, I don't wanna get found as long as I'm lost with you. I've been running a mile just to find my feet. Just finding a place where my heart can breathe. And all I know is there ain't no place that I'd rather be. Now it ain't a long way home, a long way home, no. Now it ain't a long way home, a long way home, no.
Hello, I'm back, and while I was gone, I actually found the character sheet. Agility was not a fucking stat. I'm an idiot. That might have been from some, like, homebrew nonsense. So it wasn't agility, it was sense. And then this other mental stat was command. So, like, pretty straightforward, the mental stats. Mine's writing sideways kind of sucks. You get it. Yeah, these are the mental stats, these are the physical stats. Body is pretty straightforward, it's your actual, like, body. It's your, essentially your strength. Coordination is, like, your agility, hand-eye coordination, the fine motor control stuff, your aim, etc. And then your sense is very straightforward, it's your natural senses, like the 5 senses. And then there's mind, which is intelligence, basically. Like, sort of a combination of intelligence and wisdom. Like, talking in D&D terms with that. Command is kind of like your charisma. It's basically, when people look at you, how much do they respect you? And then your empathy is also pretty straightforward. It is your empathy as a person, as a character. And I remember, mind you, like, keep this in mind, this is a system that small numbers mean a lot. Like, a 3 is an average stat, like your average Joe, sort of. 2 is below average, 1 is basically crippled in that manner, 4 is above average, and 5 is human maximum. We didn't fully, like, understand that when our DM was helping us, like, build our character sheets and stuff. So what we were told is, for the stats and stuff, we get 1 5, 2 4s, and 3 3s. So, I don't remember what, I think I made her mind a 5. And then It was like her empathy and her coordination, I believe, were both 4s, and then everything else was a 3. So these were Karen's stats, I'm pretty sure. I know for certain that her mind was up there, because she is a medical student. She wasn't a doctor yet. When we started the campaign, she was on a train to her college to start her second semester, because she went home for a little bit and then was going back to college. And the campaign started. She didn't get to finish. Or no, I don't even think it was her second semester. I think it was like her starting her last semester, something like that, because she's also a bit older. Because she started college, like, right out the gate after high school, because she knew exactly what she wanted to do. And she wanted to be a doctor like her father. Which is a little hard, because this campaign also took place in either the 1920s/30s or the 1950s. We never really solidified when it started. I think it might have been the 50s. Because that's when World War II shit was going on, I believe. I don't know. But this is Karen. Karen Moulton. She was, like, very close to finishing college. On her way back to the college. Probably for, like, some, like, finals stuff. I don't know. But yeah. So, like, those were her stats, and then there's a list of skills. There's just a bunch of them. Then they are separated based on stats. So, with body, you have stuff like athletics, brawling, endurance, health, which is like how physically healthy you are, like how healthy your body is against like disease and such. And then martial arts, melee weapons, running, swimming, wrestling. You get the idea. Coordination is those skills are acrobatics, archery, catch, climbing, dodge, driving, escape artist, firearms, lockpick, pilot, pickpocket, sailing, stealth, and throwing. And then sense is hearing, sight, smell, taste, touch. And then another one called search. And then mind has the most skills. I'm not gonna bother reading all of them, but it's basically just shit that, you know, the Brainiac sort of characters would know about. Including first aid, which was one of the main skills that Karen had. And mind you, the highest that these skills could be, I believe, are 10? I think. I don't remember, actually. I don't remember. Because the way this system works is that it uses d10s, and you roll multiple d10s and you try to get a match. So I don't even know if the maximum for these skills was 10, because I believe it's like the stat they're tied to plus whatever the skill is, you roll that in dice. So I think the max that the skills could have been was 5, because the max the stat could be is 5. And there has to be some room for failure. And then command is skills like inspiration, intimidation, leadership, performance, psychology, and seduction. And then empathy has bluff, counseling, lie, meditation, persuasion, and resist, which resist in terms of like mental things. And then there's another skill that's not tied to any stat. So if you roll for this skill, it's by itself. It's not tied to a stat at all, or it can be depending on what. I think. I don't remember. It's just been literal years since I played the system. but it's called Equilibrium, and that's basically what you roll against things that make you crazy. Because underneath the stats and above the skills is something called the Madness Meter, which there's little failed boxes and then little hardened boxes, which are your successes. But hardened doesn't necessarily mean a good thing, because the more hardened you are to horrors and such, sort of the less human you are, because you're more numb to that sort of thing. And there are 4 different madness meters. There's violence, the unnatural, self, and helplessness. Violence is straightforward. It's if you were to suddenly open a door and see blood literally everywhere, your character would have to roll a violence check, which the different little meters are connected to different stats. So violence is connected to sense. So you would roll your sense stat with your equilibrium skill, and you would have to pass whatever the check would be. In this case, of opening a door and suddenly seeing that there's literally blood everywhere, that would probably be a 2, maybe a 1. Possibly even a 3 or 4. I don't know. I don't remember what the table specified. I just know that, like, opening the door and finding blood everywhere is one of the example things. And when you roll the dice, you're not adding up any numbers per se. You're trying to match numbers. So if you have, let's say your sense was, in Karen's case, a 3, or I think hers might have been a 2. I don't remember. She would have to roll a 2 plus her equilibrium, which I think she only had like 1 or 2 points in, so she would get 4 d10s to roll, and she has to match any of the numbers on the d10. And let's say the check was for a 3, and she rolled 2 2s. That's a fail. So then that would mean that she gets 1 failed notch in the madness meter for violence, and she freaks out about the situation she's walked into. She doesn't keep her cool, basically. Like, succeeding on these checks, you're able to keep your cool and you don't freak out. How your character freaks out is both on the player and the DM, and there are some examples in the book and stuff about like what your character would do in a situation. For this example of, like, you know, blood-filled room, and Karen failed it, one of the options is crying, or basically having a panic attack, running away, or closing the door and trying to forget it happened. Basically just repress that trauma. And we played this campaign for a while, like I want to say a couple years. No, not a couple years, like a year. And then when it was kind of starting to turn south, because the DM put us in a really fucked situation, and we weren't really necessarily giving up, but we were just getting irritated that, you know, bad shit kept happening, even if we didn't do anything to warrant it. The DM eventually just kind of gave up. And he stopped the campaign, flushed it down the toilet, basically. It wasn't a rocks fall, everyone dies. It was literally just, campaign's over. I'm gonna start a new one. And we're like, okay. We still like this campaign, we still like these characters, but whatever, man, we're not gonna force you to keep DMing it if you don't wanna. And it's actually, like, from this campaign that I met all of the people in the Porkham crew. Because this one DM guy who's no longer in our lives anymore is kind of the one that got us all together. And, you know, by now it's a matter of, like, yeah, he got us together, but he's still an asshole. Yeah, and it's also kind of when I started recording our D&D sessions. Like, by now, it's just a regular thing for us to record our sessions. We don't even think twice about it. It's just like, yeah, record. God, she's bleeding really bad. That's good. Actually, don't want to kill this. Is trying out gross. I'm gonna make a model. But yeah, it was originally in this campaign that I started recording because I really liked the story that we had going, and I wanted to turn it into a webcomic. So I had started just recording with my Winky Dink little iPhone 4, I think. Sorry, I'm trying to fix this model. Anyway, yeah, I just suddenly started recording and put my phone in the middle of the table, and it wasn't until, like, Chalk and the DM guy at the time saw my phone get a notification, because I had the screen side up, and my screen lit up, and they saw the little fucking, like, waves of recording stuff going on. They're just like, the fuck is this? And I told them, you know, like, on the recording, it's like, I wanted to start recording our sessions to, like, get everything down so I could make a comic out of our campaign. And I remember DM guy just being like, "You didn't fucking ask me. I'm okay with it, but you didn't fucking ask me." And I'm just like, But yeah, that's kind of how that started, and sort of ever since we've been recording our sessions. The recordings of that first campaign are long fucking gone, because they were on an old iPhone 4, and, like, recordings take up a lot of fucking space, especially on a fucking phone. And our sessions usually go like 5-6 hours, and that's like a shorter session. We've had sessions that have gone up to like 15 hours before. Like, fucking wild. Also, I fucking left it on the goddamn Be Right Back screen. I didn't even say anything. Oh, I feel like such an idiot asshole. I didn't even look. I'm stupid. Shit. Fuck, that sucks. Hold on. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, fucking recording stuff. Yeah, so recordings take a lot of fucking space. I say as I look at the goddamn episode files that I have on my computer right now. I need to find a way to put these, like, online somewhere. I don't know if you can just upload, like, straight audio to YouTube. Like, audio without video. I hope. If not, I'll have to figure something else out. Because originally I started trying to put them on, like, my Google Drive, and then my Google Drive was like, hey, you have a limited amount of space you can actually use. Fuck you. And I'm like, fuck. Gotta figure this shit out. And Discord has a fucking file limit. And these are like 5-6 hour recordings each. But yeah, the recordings of the first session are just long fucking gone. I used to listen to them while going to bed, actually. Because one, I wanted to get used to listening to my voice. Because the shit I'm doing right now is the shit I've kind of wanted to do since I was like a preteen, just making internet content because I can. But yeah, I wanted to get used to my voice. I wanted to get used to the others' voices I'm recording. And I wanted to get used to just, like, hearing it, because I figured I was going to be the one, like, editing that audio a lot. Because we have a lot of, like, we play for 6 hours. It's not 6 hours of pure D&D, though. Like, it's probably closer to 4 hours of D&D, and 2 hours of us just shitting. Just fucking shitting all over the mic. Spitting it all over. Because we like to joke, we like to laugh, like to have fun while we're playing and shit. You know, makes sense. Where was I going with this? I don't remember. I'm trying to draw Karen. By the way, I just want to point out, this is the best I've ever fucking drawn her. Because this is a character that I struggle very heavily to draw. Not for any particular reason, but just because, like, what's in my head I can't get down. This is the closest I've ever gotten to it. That ponytail is still off, but that's just because I'm not used to drawing ponytails. So we'll take this. Also, I caved and started using a 3D model again. But yeah. D&D. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. My brain is shutting down. I'm also thinking I'm probably gonna call the stream here soon. I didn't really intend on having too long of a stream today. Like, I might call it here in 30 minutes, mainly because, for one, my sink is full of dishes, and they smell really bad. I need to wash them. Like, I was originally just going to have sort of chore day today, do a bunch of chores and such, but I still really wanted to stream. Kind of just, you know, fucking around at this point. I don't want to work on a reference sheet of Karen, man. I just want to draw her. No draw, only art. That's just all my fucking brain do. So I remembered there is a drawing of Karen that exists in my goddamn... There she is. Her hair looks stupid. Because originally, my design of her is... She didn't have any bangs like this or anything. It was like her forehead was pretty much completely exposed, so it was kind of like this sort of a deal, and her hair was just like all pulled back. Very quickly I found out, that looks bad! Most people can't pull that off. Like, in real life. Forehead is a space to get bangs to frame your goddamn face by. So that's been like a big struggle with me drawing Karen, but I found recently that, like, I'll just give her some fucking bangs, she looks fine. And then there's also one other feature about Karen, which is not shown here because I'm really not sure how well Twitch will deal with it. But she got some big titty, some serious honkers, a real set of badonkers, and that started from a fucking stupid ass, shitty ass fucking joke from this DM guy, and it kind of just stuck. And it's something that I genuinely hated for years, until I eventually just started kind of embracing it. Like, by now, it's like, yeah, she got the big titty, so what? But at the start, I was just like, oh god, don't give her the big titty. I don't want people to sexualize my character. At this point, it's just like, she's a girl. She gets sexualized anyway. Listen, if someone is really intent jerking off to my D&D character, first of all, I admire their dedication. Second of all, I don't want to talk to you. But yeah, like, people will sexualize whatever the fuck they want to get their rocks off. So giving her big titty doesn't change if people are gonna jerk off to her. Not that I'd want anyone to, but that was the main reason why I didn't want her to have big titty. And by this one, it's like, well, why not big titty? Why not? People have big titty, it's fine. And the reason why it's like she got big titty was a joke that became real, is because the DM guy, the next campaign we started after the first one was a Skullgirls inspired one. And because Karen didn't really get her story finished, I wanted to use her again. Because I just wanted her to have, like, a finished story. And the DM was just like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I believe it's actually, like... Hello? Stopped in to say, away from Chicken Hell, stay late tonight, and I hope the stream is goodbye. Bye-bye, Chuck! I was talking about the Skullgirls campaign. Staying late tonight. I hope he's not gonna be too late for the session tonight. Because Friday is D&D night for our group. But yeah, Skullgirls campaign. I believe the DM actually was saying that, like, hey, remake your characters as girls if they're not already girls. Looks at literally everyone besides my character, because everyone else was a dude. Because we're gonna do a Skullgirls campaign, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck Skullgirls is at the time. Like, what, 7 years ago from now? Fuck, is Skullgirls that old? Fuck, it's 9 years old? Shit! Fuck! Oh my god. Wild! I don't want to keep drawing. The fact that I got this out of the stream, though, is a fucking huge accomplishment for me. Like, goddamn. So I'm just gonna crop this and save it, because fuck. Anyway, fucking, I think I'm actually just gonna end the stream here soon. I'll continue talking. But yeah, fucking, so, it was a Skullgirls campaign, and And fucking, yeah, it was just a Skullgirls campaign. It lasted not even a full session, because we spent most of our time that night, like, making our characters. Let's see, it was me, Chuck, our mutual friend Sean, who was also in the first campaign, but we haven't really been talking to him lately. I wonder if he's still on our Discord. I hope he is. I don't know if he is. I think he might have left. That's sad. That makes me really sad, actually. Yeah, I'm not seeing him. Oh. Sad. Yeah, I'm not seeing him. No. Very, very high-key sad. Not even a low-key sad moment. That's a high-key sad moment. But yeah, he was a really cool dude. He was pretty chill. He was mostly friends with DM Guy, I think. And funny enough, like, he and Chalk had met before we did D&D stuff. And they didn't get along, but, you know, relationship mended with through D&D. Wow. I think, I don't remember. But yeah, it was DM Guy, me, Chuck, Sean, and I believe, Summer, also known as Perpetually Confused, or, Bright Raven Creations on Twitter and such. They were also in it with their sister, I believe. And we made our characters, we showed them how to make characters. We started the session, immediately started getting gunned down by skeletons with fucking Tommy guns. Mind you, this is still in the Nemesis system. So Tommy guns will just fucking kill you based on, like, how the health works, because it's locational health. And your head and your chest, if those, like, max out in damage, you're fucking dead. If your limbs max out in damage, they're fucking gone. Your head only has 4 health. And guns do typically more than 4 health, 4 damage. So I believe it was like Summer and her sister's character died, or them? I'm unsure, I'm very sorry. But Summer and their sister's character just fucking died immediately. And they went, hey, we gotta go, it's getting late. Our parents are strict, we gotta go home. And we're like, okay, bye, have fun. And we kind of just sat around, fucked around, didn't do anything, and called the session. But with that campaign, I just had Karen again, and I just plopped down her character sheet. Basically copied her old character sheet, aside from stuff I got from that campaign, like certain items. Her skills and stuff weren't as high. She didn't have as many points, basically. And some special powers she got, along with, you know, some of her fucking crazy. But DM Guy made a joke because I was making a Skullgirls character who was a medic, and was just like, lol, you're just Valentine. You got the big titty. And I'm like, what are we fucking talking about? And it was like, Valentine's got like the E-sized, fucking E-cup-sized titties. And I'm just like, what the fuck? But I was also stupid and shy and didn't really like to talk back to anyone. So he was just like, you got E-sized titties now. I'm just like, I guess I got E-sized titties now. That sucks. Because originally Karen was like smaller. Like she was like a B cup. Like B34 or some shit. And now she's fucking like E38. Or not E38, that's fuck, it's huge. It's not fucking Amazon. But like E36 or something. And I'm just standing here looking at her, just like, okay, just got a big titty now. And it just kind of became a running joke in her, like at our table. It was like, Karen got the big titty, and I would always be like, no, she don't got the big titty, stop it. But it was still like in the mental image for everyone, besides me, sort of, that she had the big titty. So when it eventually came to this one campaign that was run by Mox, actually, this was a campaign that didn't involve DM Guy at all, because he was working at a summer camp, so we literally couldn't play with him. And Mox decided to, hey, I've DM'd before. I've been around the block a couple of times. I can DM a campaign for you guys. It'll be fun. Yeah, woohoo, yeah, woo. And we're like, yeah, woohoo, yeah, woo. And I brought Karen for it again. There are 20 different versions of Karen that exist as in character sheet form. Because I kept bringing her into the next campaign over and over and over and over again, because our campaigns weren't getting definitive endings. They was just, like, we'd be playing for a while. I think the longest campaign we ever played was 2 years or some shit. Not counting the ones that we're currently running now. And we have yet to technically finish a campaign. None of their stories have ever been finished, and that's really sad. Because, it's why I kept bringing back Karen, is because I just wanted her story. I just wanted her to have a completed story. It got to a point where it's like, it didn't even matter if she died. I just wanted her to have a completed story. But our table's really good at not dying, so that wasn't even an option. And I wasn't going to, like, go out of my way to, like, fucking have Karen die. But if she ended up to die, that would have been fine. I just wanted her to have a complete story before I moved on to the next character. Why? I don't know. Fucking brain scoopy. And it eventually got to a point where it's DM Guy was going to be running a sci-fi campaign that we called DLC Quest. And I did bring Karen for the first iteration of that. And we called it DLC Quest because it was just like, alright, name a bunch of different medias you like that you want to play in a campaign for, and we can figure something out by combining all of these. You know, like some fucking mishmashed DLC. And I brought Karen for that one. And this is where the origins of one of Mox's characters named Blueberry, who is a Dragon Ball OC essentially by now, and a version of Karen I call Psycho Karen or Berry Squad Karen. It's the same Karen, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that she's crazy as fuck and she likes to collect organs. Because I wanted to play a crazy character. It's like, well, I'm playing Karen. Make her crazy. Whatever. I just dropped it in the game. No, I didn't. But whatever. Sorry, my train of thought just exploded. Yeah, and I made her for that, and then DM was just like, alright, this really isn't working out well, let's try and restart this campaign really quick after the first couple sessions. Because he did some fuck shit, and we're just like, that's really fucked, we don't like that. And he's like, okay, let's just restart. Even though it's like, just retconning shit, but whatever. So we restarted, and I was gonna bring Karen back again. And Chalk was just like, I swear to fucking God, if you bring Karen back, I'm just not gonna play. And I'm just like, oh. Well, my desire to not create a bad time for my friends is much greater than my desire to finish this character's story. So I guess I'll just make a new character. But also I was trying to be an asshole and fucking spiteful and stubborn. And try to bring Karen back anyway. So originally this character, who I said, okay, they're a boy, so it's not Karen. And they're like, okay, cool. And, as I worked on them more, it was originally going to be just like Karen in disguise. And it was just going to be like, haha, fucking reveal, it's actually Karen, fuck you, I played my character anyway. Until I started actually thinking about them a little bit more and more. Got some ideas for like some cool powers for them, which was like a respawning mechanic and some meta narrative stuff that I had going on for them, and then eventually turned into actually a whole new character named Tomb, who I still play. He's in a campaign right now. He's probably going to be the character I play tonight for our D&D session tonight when we have it. And very funny enough is he is technically Karen's son because she made him. Because the first campaign did get dropped, but it wasn't like dead. It wasn't gone forever. It didn't disappear. And I've talked about Void campaign in this ad nauseum, but that's basically what it led to. Is Mox and DM Guy were working on like this big D&D project for us, and we were going to be playing our original characters, going through different worlds and such. And then DM Guy just being a fucking idiot asshole, disregarded all of the work that Mox had done, and like foot straight on the gas, hits at me and Chalk like late at night, like I'm talking 2 in the fucking morning kind of shit, and it's just like, hey, you guys won't play D&D? I know you guys are awake. And we're just like, sure, whatever, who else is playing? And it's like, oh, it's just gonna be 3 of us. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, fucking, that's fine. And then it's just like, alright, Snoo, you're playing Karen. Chalk, you're playing Jack, which was his original character from the first campaign. Don't think I mentioned that, but it is. You're playing Jack, and that it was a shit show, and it was really, it's how I found out about a feature, and by a feature I mean a flaw on my phone with the way we recorded, because I was recording that session. Like, it's long gone, mind you, I don't have those recordings, which is sad. But I was recording that session, and then we were just like, oh shit, need to call Mox. And like, well, let's call Mox, let's call him on Skype and stuff. And we call Mox, who, mind you, he fucking worked the next day. We didn't realize it, but we called him, and DM guy was just like, hey, this NPC thing that you made, we need you to play them for this session really quick that we're doing. And we called them over Skype on my phone, because I was the only one that really had signal to call, and I had an unlimited data plan with my family at the time. So called them on Skype, which stopped the recording, and I think it just fucked with it so bad that it corrupted or whatever, because that recording was just, it got fucking Thanos snapped, disintegrated immediately. And we're calling fucking Mox at 3 in the fucking morning when he works the next day, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on? Shit. The train of thought has disintegrated again. But yeah, we had that session, and at the end of it, basically, our characters from the first campaign, like mine, Chalk's, and Mox's, whose names were Karen, of course, and then Jack, which was Chalk's, and Ash, who was Mox's. They all ended up being just sort of left in this void, kind of floating in nothing. Like, they survived the end of everything and were essentially gods at this point. Like, they were free to do anything. They weren't trapped by anything anymore. Which was a lot more sad than anything. Because Karen had a lot of people she cared about, like more than just Ash and Jack. And she was still thankful to have them, don't get me wrong. Like, if Karen was by herself, God, dude, she would have been fucked. But someone like Jack didn't handle it well, because he was basically like a treasure hunter. He was an Indiana Jones inspired character. His whole thing was supposed to be trying to get rich and famous and stuff. And he was literally put into the situation of like that one thief gambler guy for the Twilight Zone, where it's just like, oh, I died and went to heaven. Oh, I want to win all the time. What does you want to get riches? What yada yada. And it's like, well, fucking, what's the point of having everything if you didn't work for it? Like, that was Jack's outlook on it. Is, yeah, I can make and have literally anything I've ever desired, but I didn't earn it. It doesn't mean anything. And then Ash, who was she was a young detective who knew a lot about magic and occult things. Like, she was basically the occultist of the party. She knew, one, that this void wasn't empty. There were higher eldritch powers that also survived with us. And though she did care to a degree about Jack and Karen, in the same sense of you care about your coworkers, she wasn't close. Mainly because Mox wasn't able to make it to the sessions a lot, because he often worked on the times that everyone else was available. Mox had to unfortunately work, so Ash wasn't able to actually be in the sessions too much. When she was, though, it was great. Had a great time. But Ash basically just went and found some corner of the void and kind of just tried to stop existing, but didn't really do anything, just floating there. Meanwhile, Karen was trying to get a hold of and understand these sort of new powers that they had, just being able to will anything into existence, because she was having a lot of trouble understanding it and doing it. And Ash pretty much left the other two almost immediately. But Jack and Karen stick around each other for a little while. So Karen trying to better Jack's mood in whatever way she could, because it's the only thing she could think of to do at the time. She kept making different things for Jack, like basically creating little doodads and whatnot. Sorry, I was answering a Discord message. Anyway, yeah, so Karen was basically following Jack around trying to make him a little happier. And it did work. It was definitely... It was better than literally all three of them just splitting off and fucking fading away into non-existence. And it's kind of where, like, this one campaign that I was trying to DM on, like, by myself, and it was the first campaign I actually tried to DM. It wasn't involved with our group, though. It was with my brother, his girlfriend, and a couple of his friends. Because they all were just like, I want to try playing D&D. And like, I know a thing or two about the tabletops. I can try and DM. Why not? And I tried to run a Night Vale campaign. An unspoken rule in our group is you don't try to DM Night Vale. Because it doesn't fucking work. Sorry, I'm trying to gain back my train of thought. My brain processes slow. But yeah, I DM'd them for a couple sessions until I realized this sucks. This is going bad. They're all going to die. I think I'm just gonna call this off. Like, it was eventually like, hey, I think I need time to, like, figure this out, and then it turned into, okay, I think I have to call it off. I don't really have time while I'm, 17. 17? 16. I think I was 16. But I don't really have time while I'm 16 and dealing with fucking high school shit and whatever to try and, like, plan a D&D campaign. Because I didn't. I still don't. Listen, it's hard for me to DM. I'm stupid. But yeah, because that world that I made for the Night Vale campaign was going to be, like, the first world that Karen had made. And she did make it, but because that campaign didn't turn out, the world died. Because she didn't fully well know what she was doing. She basically, like, made the world and then was futzing with it so much that she overworked it and it kind of just died. And then she made another one, which is for a campaign that I don't DM, but Chalk DMs, and it's called Remnant, which is, the world that the show RWBY takes place in. Because he really wanted to work on a RWBY D&D campaign, and all of us were pretty much on board. After, like, 2 years, at first, we weren't really too on board for it. Mainly, I actually don't even remember why. We just weren't. But Chalk had been working on it for, like, a year and a half or 2 years or so, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna DM this, and we're just like, that's cool, and then kind of just didn't play it for a while. And then we got to a point where it's like, well, we don't really have any campaigns going on. And Chalk was like, I still got this one. And he was like, sure, I'll play. Why not? Fuck it. All of us know about RWBY. We know how the rubles works. We did not know how this rubles was going to work, though. Because while Chalk absolutely did base it on RWBY, he also put a lot of his own shit into it. So, like, Chalk draws inspiration from probably any piece of media he consumes, and if he likes it, you're probably gonna find some semblance of it in a campaign he would DM. We played that campaign for a while, and that was in a homebrew system that he called Project Red. Like, we had a long period after the Nemesis stuff where we were trying to make our own system. Mainly inspired by Mox, who, when he was running Neo Nemesis, was the Nemesis system, but he changed a lot of shit about it. Like, in a good way. but he changed a lot about it and made it more fitting for like an action adventure rather than a horror campaign. And Chalk and I were the only players for that for a little while. Eventually, DM guy, who I'm just omitting his name, eventually he got involved into it because we were playing it without him even when he came back from his summer camp job. And he was just like, guys, I want to play too. And we're just like, Mox, is it okay if he plays too? And Mox is like, I guess, sure, why not? Let's figure out your character. And immediately, DM guy starts being a fucking shitter because Mox was telling him, hey, I know you want to make this, goblin tinkerer character, and like that makes sense, that works for the setting that we have. You're not going to be that good of a tinkerer. You're not going to be like a modern mechanic because that doesn't work or make sense in the setting. And DM guy was just just fucking being an asshole about it because it was like, well, why not? It's like, because this fucking technology would be alien to you. What the fuck do you mean, why not? Like, a prime example is like, I want to make a motorcycle. Okay, you don't know what the fuck a motorcycle is. So we can make some sort of like a proto-motorcycle. Or you see Chalk's character Jacqueline, who is a mechanic from modern times, making a car. And you're like, I want to try and make that. But you don't have 4 tires, you only have 2. So we can get something like that. And for some reason, that wasn't fucking good enough. It was just like, no, I want a motorcycle. It's like, fucker, stop. But yeah, and that campaign went on for a while, even after DM guy got involved. Well, no, I didn't even think that long, because he got involved, and then I think we had a handful of sessions with him playing, and then the campaign went on a hiatus for a while, because Mox is a DM who can't DM every week. He doesn't usually have the energy or prep done, and that's fine by now. Like, by this point, we're fine with it, because it doesn't matter how long it'll be between sessions for Mox's campaigns for us, because they're always worth the wait, in my opinion. He's a really good DM, and it's really fun to play in his campaigns. And I would obviously love to play them more, but, I don't want to hassle him about it. Because that's kind of how that NeoNem campaign died, is we kept hassling him about it. And we kept bothering him so much, like months and months had gone by. It's just like, hey, do you know if we're ever gonna, play this campaign again? We really like it, we really like this character, we like the story and stuff. And we just kept bothering him until he was just like, no. And he dropped a bunch of spoilers about the end of the campaign on me, and I'm just like, oh. Okay. And it was basically like the campaign was put on the back burner, but it was left on the back burner for so long. That it eventually just, got dried out and burned, and we threw it in the trash. But Chalk and I still talk about it to this day. Like, we just reminisce. The voice actor for Medic said Medic came in Medic's voice. Amazing. You 15 minutes of fame, Medic. I'm kinda just talking about D&D shit, and I've been rambling for, 40 minutes. I'm probably actually going to be calling the stream here in a second. But yeah. I've just been sitting here reminiscing about D&D shit, because I was drawing my first D&D character. Okay, bye. See ya. Thank you for stopping by, Medic. Thank you to everyone that came by and was hanging out and listening to me just fucking ramble. Hello. Oh, Vibe Wolf, have you been here the whole time? I didn't even realize. But yeah, lol. Fucking great, thanks. Thumbs up. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming by and just like listening to me fucking yapping about D&D. I hope you all have a great day and have good times. I'm gonna fucking clean up my gross ass apartment. Just remember to take care of yourselves and drink water. And don't forget to wash your hands. Goodbye.